In July 2021, Rockstar released a new update to Red Dead Online. But little did we know at the time, this was the last major update that Red Dead Online would ever receive, as Rockstar decided to refocus all their attention to the upcoming GTA 6. This left Red Dead Online completely abandoned. And to this day, 3 years later, it has still not received another major update. Despite this, Red Dead Online has maintained a rather large community over the years. And pretty much everyone in that community is really disappointed that the game never reached its full potential. And that's why today I'm going to be talking about how Rockstar Games failed Red Dead Online. But before we get into all that, I would just like to thank you all for the great support that I have received so far on this channel. And I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel and help me get to 70 subscribers as soon as possible. So if we're going to understand how Rockstar failed Red Dead Online, we're going to need to take it back to the very beginning. When Red Dead Online was announced, people were pretty much expecting GTA Online, but with cowboys. But when they booted up Red Dead Online for the very first time, all they found was an empty world with nothing to do. I mean, compared to Red Dead 2's story mode, the online world feels vastly more empty. Because in the story, there's pretty much something to do around every corner. But in online, there was just nothing you can do. This left people quite disappointed. Even more so when they realised that in an outlaw game, you can't even rob anything. This also left people wondering why it was so empty, especially compared to GTA Online at its launch. Because even in GTA you could rob stores and buy houses and stuff, but there's just nothing like that in Red Dead Online, which is strange considering it was released many years later. And this left many people thinking that maybe Rockstar just didn't know what to do with the game. It wasn't until nearly a year later where they released the first good DLC, and in my opinion, the only good DLC. And of course I'm talking about Frontier Pursuits. The new content that this DLC brought to Red Dead Online included the Bounty Hunter role, the Trader role, and the Collector role. This was a really good way of keeping people happy. For example, if players like action, then they'll love the Bounty Hunter role, or if they love hunting, they'll love the Trader role. And if they enjoy trying to find things, they will love the Collector role. This was a really unique idea for a DLC by Rockstar, and it made people think that maybe Red Dead Online could be great. However, there were a lot of glitches that really took away from this DLC. The glitch in question is that a lot of the time, animals just wouldn't spawn, and if you know the Trader role, you know that you need animals for the role to actually work. So no animals, no Trader role. And it also took Rockstar quite a long time to fix this, and so it once again showed that they didn't really care about Red Dead Online. But the final nail in the coffin for many players was when Rockstar nerfed the daily challenges. This drove quite a lot of people over the edge, and they just didn't see the point of playing Red Dead anymore. Because that was like one of the best ways of making gold without having to pay for it. And it was just really showing that Rockstar only really cared about making money and not having a game that was actually fun and playable. And the later releases of the Moonshiner and Naturalist roles didn't really help to bring those players back in. What Rockstar should have done was see the big player resurgence when they released the Frontier Pursuits DLC, and they should have kept on going with stuff like that. Instead, they did nothing, and the game kind of fell off. Also, a lot of players were unhappy at how Rockstar dropped the ball again with when the Moonshiner role was released. It was completely broken. There were just so many issues and bugs with the Moonshiner DLC, and Rockstar didn't fix it for months, which was another reason that drove a lot of players away. But despite all of these issues, there was still a dedicated fanbase that stuck with the game throughout all of this. But Rockstar seemed to just ignore this, and after the Moonshiner DLC, they just released a Naturalist, and come on, just no. And it was clear that Red Dead Online was the forgotten child of Rockstar Games. Then after this, they changed the Bounty Hunter role around a bit, but then after that they released the Blood Money missions, which nobody cares about and nobody plays. And it was becoming apparent that Rockstar would just abandon the game for large periods of times, and then just come back with uninteresting updates with content that doesn't really leave players wanting to play the game. I mean, even the event weeks, which are now event months, are uninteresting because there's just not enough content to actually do things like double money and double XP. And then after all of this, Rockstar uses GTA 6 as a scapegoat as a way of getting out of updating Red Dead Online. And that is just pretty much the story of Red Dead Online. A game with so much potential that the creators just could not execute upon. And also, some people were a bit confused in why they would just completely abandon Red Dead Online. I mean, surely they would leave a team of like 50 people to just solely work on it and while the rest go and work on GTA 6. But no, they decided to move all of their efforts to GTA 6 and just leave Red Dead Online completely alone. The only updates I get now are the monthly updates, which are all pretty shit, if we're being honest. And it is just sad to see a game with this much potential just be completely wasted like it was. We saw from story mode how great this game could be, but Rockstar just completely failed to deliver on it. I mean, there were just so many different and unique ways they could have made this game great, but Rockstar just never really cared about making the game great. They only really cared about making a profit. They cared more about the microtransactions than they did their fan base. And I mean, they didn't even try to get the Red Dead fan base back on their side. I mean, they could have released something like properties or even some new roles, but they just wouldn't do it. Or if they did do it, they just wouldn't do it well, and it just wouldn't work at all. But it's been 3 years since Rockstar decided to cancel any major updates for Red Dead Online, and still to this day, there is a large amount of players who still play the game. And it is just really such a shame that Rockstar just refused to see the great support that Red Dead Online always receives from people. And they just refuse to deliver on anything. And they just leave the whole fan base just completely abandoned. And this whole situation isn't helped by how much GTA 6 gets delayed. I mean, they moved the entire studio to focus on GTA 6, and it still gets delayed almost every year. So like, come on, what's going on? But anyway guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 70 subscribers as soon as possible, and then after that we can aim for that big 100. Thank you all for your great support, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.